the child who grew up as a parent to their parent. A lot of people watching this channel can identify with that in some way. And accepting that that was a reality, and then looking at how that shaped our psyche, how that shaped our behavior, and how we've shown up in relationships in our adult life is a huge part of a lot of our healing. So for some of us, it's the main part of us setting ourselves free. And there are so many stories of what this actually looked like for us as kids. For people with narcissistic mothers, it can look like a mother who more needed a friend or an ally or someone to soothe them. And that was one of the main goals of having children. Someone who could listen to their relationship problems, be an ally for them when they had altercations with other people, and be a counselor, rub their back, scratch their hair, basically pour into the mother. And that's not the role of a child. It could be that you were more having to take care of physical needs. You were neglected, and you had to, maybe you had a parent that was drunk or had mental health problems, and you ended up having to take care of also physical aspects of things going on in the home, younger children. Anyways, the stories that I've heard are endless, but when we get older, we might not notice how that affected us. Yes, it was difficult. Yes, it's painful to remember, but there are sneaky ways that this patterning can show up in our life. And one of the ways is that when we show up in friendships, partnerships of any sort, there can be this unconscious need to soothe, to be an ally, to be a counselor, to be over the top in the friend support area in order to make a connection and feel like you have a place of value in that relationship. And unfortunately, predators, parasite people can pick up on that, and we don't even realize that it's really obvious that we're doing these things. And therefore, we're a perfect match for ending up in any type of partnership, friendship, relationship with somebody who just wants more and more of those things, that might not value you for who you are and your uniqueness, but values you for all of these things that you're showing up and offering, just like that manipulative parent, that unhealed parent. And so this is why many people who grew up in this type of situation find themselves over and over and over with these unbalanced relationships. So getting out of this cycle can be really difficult. Learning to be okay with time alone, minimal relationships, learning to say no. And there's kind of a idea with saying no that sounds mean or harsh to some. But there are some pretty creative ways to say no. And so it's actually not hard to say no if you can say no in a way that makes you feel empowered and not so harsh at the beginning anyways. Some things that you can say is, let me think about it. Let me get back to you in the next hour. My plate is full right now, but I'm really honored that you thought of me and asked me to be part of that, to do that for you. And in these ways, it's a little bit easier for us to start to create a little bit of space and boundaries, well, we think about what we want to say yes and no to with people. And once we start to create this space, these boundaries, these soft ways of saying no that really are a straight up no, we'll find that the type of people that we're attracting are a little bit more healthy, a little bit more balanced. They're not people that just want us for all of these things that we're constantly offering and offering and offering. And your life can actually change really fast when you start to slip into this way of being. But you have to be okay with periods of time that are more alone, periods of time where there are less others around. You have to be okay with that. I had a dream at a certain point on this long healing journey from having a childhood that was similar. And I saw myself walking through a house where my mother was in one room and there was a crying baby or crying toddler in another room. And I noticed that there was no interest. This is a symbolic dream, but there was no interest on the mother's part of going to check on this baby. And I went into the room and the baby had a cut on her arm that wasn't healing. And I had so much pity and so much compassion and so much emotion when I saw this child. And the cool thing was, the child said, don't feel sorry for me. Don't have any pity on me. I understand that my mother doesn't have any capacity for anyone but herself. She's got mental health problems. The human part of me is crying and really needs a parent, but the soul part of me understands that that's not going to be available to me at this stage of life. And therefore, one day I'm going to be older, I'm going to be an adult, and I'm going to deeply understand being left alone and not having my needs met. And therefore, I'm going to understand how to best serve the world, because there are many, many, many others out there who have had very, very difficult childhoods. I'm going to understand them. So if you're on a spiritual path and you're watching this and you know that you've had a childhood where your physical or your emotional needs were not met, we're moving past the stories of blaming and demonization of the parent who is just not present, not well, to showing up, learning how to say no, how to make boundaries, how to spot out people that we might be tempted to repeat these types of relationship dynamics with that are unbalanced. And then, once we move through that corridor and we're able to be alone, we're able to attract in more balanced relationships, then we become that healed baby who is able to be a beacon of light for other people. So that's what we're doing. Adult children who are parents to their parents.